All right, everyone. I guess I'm a bit of a loose cannon. This is the only story that wasn't heard by anyone before we actually practiced the event, so I might go rogue up here. I already took the microphone off, so no one knows what's going to happen.
Good start. Good start.
Yeah, so last time I came up here, I did a story about a job, and so this time I'm going to do a story about another job. I've had a lot of random jobs. So, first off, a question though. Has anybody ever bit off more than you can chew? Yes. Somebody said yes very loudly in the back. Yeah. Anyone who said no, probably lying, but that's okay. So this story is actually about a job I took when I was living in China. So I lived in Beijing, China for about 4 years. And in that time, I was doing a lot of random work. And one of the jobs that kind of came across the slate was being a safety and rescue trainer for a German safety equipment company. Which was weird because I didn't know anything about safety and rescue. I don't speak German. And I was in China, so it was like all these random things came together, but the opportunity came to me and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And the company was cool, so they said, all right, let's send you off to Germany for about 2 months and train you up on how to do the job. And I said, okay, cool, I can do this. So I go to Germany, I train for about 2 months, and I'm learning not only how to use their safety equipment, they make things like carabiners, paper towels, fall arrest devices. So like if you're in a height safety situation, like and you fall, something catches you, all the ropes and things that you use for climbing, they make all that stuff. So I had to learn how to use all that stuff. I had no idea how to do that. And I had to learn how to show other people how to use it, and make sure they didn't die in the process because we'd be doing this at heights. So it was a rough 2 months, but at the end of it, I felt pretty confident. So I went back to China, and most of the training was in the wind industry. So the wind industry has, wind turbines. You see those on dotting the hillside sometimes. Humans go inside of those to fix them, and they climb up. There's like a ladder inside, and they have all this equipment that you can actually set up and use to stay safe while you're climbing inside of them and performing maintenance. So I learned how to do all that stuff and show other people how to do it. So I felt pretty good about my skills when I got back to China, but I was also like on my own then. So I was the main trainer for the whole region of East Asia. So I had to travel around. I had to go to Mongolia and other places to teach people how to use this equipment. And at first it was really nerve-wracking, but then I got pretty good at it. So I was feeling pretty confident. But then the problem was that, I wasn't sure if there was going to be some other situation that I wasn't really confident in. Because they didn't just do things in wind power industry. They also did things in, oil and gas. They had lots of different industries that they worked in. And so one day I got a call and said, okay, you're going to Hong Kong. And I was like, oh, cool, Hong Kong. I've never been to Hong Kong. Hong Kong's cool. So I went to Hong Kong and they said, we're going to do a training. But the training was actually not in the wind industry. It was in tree climbing. And so that was actually interesting because it was like the perfect confluence of events because I had actually done exactly 1 day of tree climbing training when I was in Germany. And I was expected to go to this place and not only, show my skill with the trees and show them how to use our equipment, but also, like, I'm the one doing the training, so it's actually supposed to be like me as the expert. And I had 1 day. And I remember during the day I was doing the training, I figured I would never actually have to use that skill. So like the guy's showing me all the ropes, like literally, and he like sets them up and he's like, we're climbing in this tree, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool, but I'm not gonna do any of this, so I don't have to worry about it. So then like when they told me about the event, I just sweat, starts pouring down, and I was really stressed out. So we go down to Hong Kong, and we're staying in this hotel and hanging out, and the whole time I'm just panicking because I don't remember any of this stuff. So eventually the day comes, right? We get in the car, they drive us out to the site where we're gonna do the tree climbing, and I get in the car with the salesperson, and he has a guy with him who works with them. So these guys who cut trees, right, they're in Hong Kong. The trees overhang the roads, right? And so they want to make sure that the trees get cut so that the branches don't fall on cars when they're driving by. So there's a guy who goes up there and he cuts the branches, and that's like his whole life. So that guy was in the car with us as well. He's like a professional. He's like, that's what he does full time. And he's like, just all trees all the time. And he came and he was like, so they're telling me about what they do in the car, and one of the things he tells me is that this guy who's with them is not only a tree climbing expert, he's also like the champion of the tree climbing contest for all of Hong Kong. Yeah. At first I was like, I thought that they might have told her that my training wasn't that like vast, so they're putting me on. Because I was like, there's no contest for climbing trees. That's ridiculous. Like, there's no contest for climbing trees. And he was like, no, there is. And that guy's the champion. So I was like, great, excellent. So we get out to the place. It's just the jungle. We go to the jungle, and there's like a tree. I don't know how they just have a tree that they use for this kind of stuff, I guess. And we get there, and I wasn't really sure, what to expect. Like if they'd have ropes set up already or anything like that, and they didn't. And so I was really nervous that they were going to make me set them up because I didn't know how to do that. So we get there, and the other guy thankfully sets up the ropes, and he like immediately starts, because you have to actually climb the tree to get the rope set up properly, because you need 2 lines, like a main line and then a safety line. And so he's up in the tree. I turn around to talk to someone, I turn back around, he's like up the tree, like Tarzan, and he's like swinging around, it's amazing. And I was like, wow, that's really impressive. So I'm on the ground freaking out, and we're in the jungle. So, it's super hot, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I kind of remember some of the ropes, like how to do some parts of this job. Not all of them, I don't remember the real specifics, but I remember like the basics of how to climb this tree, right? So when you're it's very different though than being in the wind industry, because in the wind industry you have a ladder, and there's like a ladder, you clip into the ladder, and then you climb the ladder up, and then you like unclip from the ladder. It's like very straightforward, even though it can be dangerous. With a tree, there's just a tree. So there's nothing there. There's just, trees are. So we get there. So this guy tells me, all right, now that we set the ropes up, which they did for me, thankfully, we're gonna climb. So the guy comes down and he climbs back up, and I'm using our equipment, our company's equipment, because this is kind of like a sales meeting. So I'm like, okay, now our trainer is gonna show you how to climb using our equipment, now that you've done yours. And so I'm like, okay, I get my thing out, and I clip into the rope. And I remember the process, and I got to watch the guy do it like twice, so I was like, okay, I kind of remember how to do it. And the process is weird. It's like, I'll kind of explain it to you. You clip onto, it's a hanging rope, right? And you clip onto it, and there's a little device that goes up the rope, but it won't go back down. So like every time you slide it up, it stays there, theoretically. And then you go up with it, and then you just climb that way. And then there's a loop in the rope that you put your foot in, and you push down with the foot, and that makes the rope go through the thing, and you can climb up. So that's how it's supposed to work. So I clip into it, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to do this. Let's go. And I put my foot in the thing, and I start pumping. I'm just like. So I do that 3 times, and the slack gets out of the rope, and I'm like starting to feel a little bit. I'm like, okay, so far so good. And so I do that like 20 more times, and it's extremely hard because like I said, there's no ladder, so you're just hanging from a rope. So it's not like you're even pushing straight down, you're pushing at this weird angle while trying to stay balanced and not spin around. It was really hard. And so I did it like 20 times, I was like sweating like crazy, but I was like, at least I'm making progress. At least like I look like I know what I'm doing. They don't know I'm exhausted. They're just seeing me, majestically climb up this tree. And so I'm just like paying as much attention to what I'm doing as possible, and I do it like 30 times, and I finally pause. I'm like, okay, I must have made it far enough now. I'm just gonna pause and like take a break. So I'm like hanging in my harness, trying to look casual, but I'm just like, I can't move, I'm exhausted. And I start spinning around a little bit because there's this rope. And as I spin, I see that the people who we're doing the training for are like still at like eye level. I spin around. And like, they were also giving me like this look. Like a look that just says like, oh, you weren't prepared for this at all. So I'm just hanging, and I can't do anything about it, right? I mean, I have one option, which is to go down. Because I can't go up anymore, I'm exhausted. And there's a million mosquitoes out, it's the middle of the jungle, like I said, so I'm just getting eaten alive. And anyway, I actually don't really remember how the rest of the training went. I think like my mind, it was like protective mode. My mind just like blanked out because it didn't want me to experience any more of the shame that I was experiencing. So, bottom line, we got through it. They were actually pretty nice once I got back to the ground. They were like, oh yeah, you know, not everybody does this for a living. This is what we do for a living. I was like, yes, it's okay. Fire stuff. Yeah, because it was a sales. Did I not mention that? It was a sales meeting. Like they were actually, we were supposed to be showing them our products so they could theoretically buy them. So I don't know if we made the sale that day. The equipment worked fine. It was me that was the problem. Anyway, after I, had that experience, I was so embarrassed that it was actually funny immediately. Like you ever been so embarrassed that it's like you don't even have to wait. You're like laughing at you, just hanging there like. So anyway, the point of this story is that I never would have been in that situation, right, where I could fall flat on my face in this situation that was pretty, it was pretty important. It was kind of my career on the line, and I failed miserably. But I never would have been in that situation if I hadn't taken that job in the first place, right? And they came to me with that job. And they said, you want to learn to do this? And I said, yeah, sure. And I kind of took this opportunity that was out of nowhere. And despite the fact that I had that terrible experience, I also got to, like I said, go to Inner Mongolia and like climb wind turbines out there and like meet all the local people that I was like training on the equipment. And I got to go to Uruguay. I got to go like all over like these rural places in China and like do these interesting trainings. And if I hadn't said yes to that opportunity, if I hadn't accepted that opportunity in the beginning, I never would have had the chance to do all those things. And I never would have actually found out if I could do them. And so I think it's actually a good thing to find your limits sometimes. Right? Like I found my limits. Like I ran right up against the ceiling of what I could do. But I think you have to do that, right? It's the same as aiming high. Like if you don't aim high, you don't find out where you actually stall out. And so I'm actually grateful for that experience. Not only because it gave me a true story to tell you guys, but also because I think that's actually an important thing to do. So I encourage everyone to embarrass yourselves as often as possible. And that's my true story.